Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thermal Take eSports Challenge for $3,000. I bring you Spanishiwa in the yellow trunks. He is playing Zerg right here on the Metalopolis, and this is a very odd version. You can see right there, supply depots at the bottom, all sorts of nonsense, versus his opponent, the one and only 6jax DDE. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran. DDE with a commanding opening against Spanishiwa. Spanishiwa playing strangely straight up. Most people know Spanishiwa for his no gas, plenty of queens and plenty of spine crawler style, the ice fisher style, the ice fisher build as he calls it. And he didn't demonstrate any of that against DDE. And it appears in a straight up game DDE was capable and very, very, very aggressive. So he was able to deal with Spanishiwa without any problems whatsoever. A lot of drops coming in right there. Spanishiwa constantly forcefully defensive. No real aggression from Spanishiwa at any point during that game. And DDE simply rolled over him with tanks and a couple of Thors at the end of it as well. So, yes, not so great, unfortunately, right there. Spanishiwa has close air positions at this point, so at least he has a few ideas about what his opponent's doing and where he is. The question is, will Spanishiwa decide to go for an earlier or indeed later hatchery? We're about to find out very, very shortly right now. Looking at his count, it looks like he'll go for a hatchery on about 15 or 16 supply, which is pretty standard for him versus Terran. Nothing unusual about that. There's the barracks going down right here for DDE. Again, nothing unusual about that either. Went down on 12 supply right there, and looking for either picking up gas or delaying it, maybe going for the second barracks. Yep, it's another 2x opening right here from DDE, which seems to work very, very well. There's the hatchery from Spanishiwa, and we'll see whether or not Spanishiwa decides to go for the gas or go for that early Spinecrawler approach. The Spinecrawler's Queens actually works pretty well, as far as I can tell, against this kind of aggressive opening with Marines, especially against something like a bunker rush, but Spanishiwa is playing standard at the moment, so we will see. We will see as to whether or not he decides to differentiate that at all. Spawning pool coming down right now. We'll see if he decides to go for the gas. He's actually not going for the gas right now, so there you go. He may decide to delay that as long as possible. And he has good information. Spanishiwa was able to scout these two barracks very, very early on, and he's probably expecting some kind of bunker play. He's going to pick up the gas a little bit later there, and he's going to have a look around and see where he can see. DDE is looking around. What does he find? He finds absolutely nothing of note. A spawning pool and an extractor later than usual, honestly. It actually went up on around 16 supply, which is a little late, but not crazy. DDE with a couple of Marines coming out right now and looking for some early pressure on Spanishiwa. And Spanishiwa perhaps looking for spine crawlers right here, waiting for the creep to spread. We're about to find out. DDE with an interesting placement of the bunker, i.e. completely out of sight of Spanishiwa and also out of range of anything remotely useful. But he might be looking to leapfrog some bunkers, and we'll see whether or not that works out for him. DDE charges up the ramp right now, and what does he find? Wow, okay, DDE pulling a large number of SCVs off the line, really going very, very aggressive with this opening. This two barracks approach with those, and that, it looks like it's a good surround. It was reasonable anyway by Spanishiwa, then he let it slip a little bit. Gonna get hyper defensive right here with these drones, and that bunker down as well is going to cause a few problems. It's a nice little location to fall back to. A lot of SCVs thrown away in that initial attack, so we've got 14 drones to 14 SCVs right now, but there is a mule in play, so that kind of makes the difference. Now the question is, can DDE hold off these Zerglings long enough for that bunker to go up? He breaks back to his bunker, takes a good number of Zerglings out in the process, and this bunker is looking very, very dangerous. Spanishiwa's going to have to do something quite special to come back from this one, honestly. He's taking a lot of fire. He's getting hammered right here. This hatchery is under grave threat. That bunker's going up whether he likes it or not. And this contain is going to be very, very effective. Spanishiwa looks for the surround on that SCV, grabs it, no problem at all. And he is... It's still, however, in a very bad position. That hatchery is taking a lot of fire, as you can see. And I am not liking it one little bit right here. It's going under 300, and this is looking likely that he might take it down. And Spanishiwa looks for another surround, but a quick fallback to the bunker. Extremely effective play right here by DDE, who I might add is also building SCVs and an expansion in the background. So he's going to transition out of this very easily. Hatchery under 100 HP, falling rapidly. DDE making very short work of Spanishiwa right now. The hatchery's down, and that's going to prove to be a real problem. However, Spanishiwa is able to slide past his opponent and is going to get a bit aggressive. Problem is the speeding upgrade was quite late. He actually turns around, and the question is what's going to happen? Well, he's not going to be able to break through this. That's the problem. DDE is already walling off very effectively, and as a direct result of that, I'd be very concerned for Spanishiwa, who just lost an Overlord as well. DDE proving himself to be dominant against his Zerg opponent right now, who really doesn't have anything to answer it with whatsoever. And those kind of disappointed about not seeing his trademark style, well, I think we're seeing just how effective the normal openings really are against the two barracks approach of DDE, who is evidently on a team that's very, very good at trading Terrans in the Korean style, as you can very clearly see. That's really to be expected. Interception coming in right here from DDE. That's a lot of damage right now, and Spanishiwa's forces driven away from his base. The question is, what is Spanishiwa even going to do right here? He's throwing out some zerglings, but the army supply count is not in his favor. His hatchery is pretty much permanently denied as a direct result of those bunkers. He's not looking for tech. He's already taken a lot of economic damage in the process, so really I'm not entirely sure what his plan is. Factory coming down right here for DDE. Could be looking for some drop play later on if he thinks that his opponents start to wall off with spine crawlers, which inexplicably hasn't happened, so I wouldn't be concerned for him there at all. Maybe some Hellion play. We'll see whether or not that actually comes in. We are noticing... I noticed, in fact, that there was a tech lab coming down right there, so this could be for a swap potentially, or it could, of course, be for Stim. We'll find out very shortly. DDE just hanging around. He doesn't really care right now, and I hardly blame him. He'll lose a Marine right there, but that's nothing really that he has to worry about. Is that another factory coming down right here? No, he hasn't finished it. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I have to wonder why he did that. Either that or just create an extremely strong wall-off against some Phantom Baneling bust that isn't actually coming. I suppose it would be an interesting assumption. It would make sense, but there is no Baneling nest. Spanishiwa actually is just building a macro hatchery right here and doing nothing else. So I'm very concerned that once DDE decides to actually go for him, he will be able to annihilate him very quickly. Tech Lab's coming down right there. We're probably looking for tanks, Marines, and of course medevac play. DDE just hanging outside the base. And really, you've got to wonder exactly where it all went wrong for Spanishiwa. He wasn't able to defend against that two-bunker play, and he lost his hatchery very early on. No spine crawlers, a small number of queens. I don't know why he's reverted back to a standard play style. I mean, we've seen so much success with that early spine crawler and no gas approach alongside the queens and things like that, but it's just, it isn't here. He's not doing anything of the sort. There's the medevac coming out, and we've got a siege tank on its way as well. Spanishiwa are looking to gain a large number of zerglings, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's 31 unupgraded zerglings against a bunch of Marines with Stim, or at least it will be if he decides to go out. We'll see. Two barracks coming down right here for DDE as well. There is the lair for Spanishiwa. And really, he's boxed in here. It's not nice to see a Zerg on one base. It really, really isn't. It's an ugly thing. Nobody likes to see it. And it's what's happening right now. And there's a freebie overlord right here. Spanishiwa sacrifices it. And he might see... I actually don't know if he saw that. We're about to find out. He's got himself supply blocked again as a result of that. He did see the starport, so he's aware that there are drops coming in. Baneling Nest appears to be the response for that. But DDE was kind of expecting Banelings way, way earlier than this. They had this ridiculous wall-off. I mean, look at this. There's no way he's even getting out of that base without medevacs. It's just absurd. It's a bit of a mess. Orbital command is down for DDE, but you can see he's actually just using it to drop mules into his mineral line right now. He's not bothering to expand right here. He could very easily expand if he so desired. There's a quick scan up the ramp. What does he see? He knows about the Zerglings. He has to assume Banelings at this point as well. I mean, we are almost 12 minutes into the game, but that Baneling nest is not up yet. DDE just gathering his forces. He knows that he's really not under an awful lot of threat right now. The Zergling count should be able to overwhelm these two bunkers, but not without taking significant losses, unless, of course, he brings Banelings in as well, which is what he's looking to do. Centrifugal hooks upgrade coming in for him. Banelings is probably the best thing he can do right now. On one base, it would either that or be roaches, honestly, because he's not going to be building a large number of muters on only 2 gas. He hasn't even got the Spire started anyway, so more Zerglings on the way for him. Kind of surprised not to see any Nidus Worm play from Spanishiwa. Well, once again, something that he's been known for, and that would be perfect for bypassing this contain right here at the front of his base. DDE bringing in the reinforcements, and that's a large number of Zerglings on the field right now. 53 to still an army supply from DDE of 60. That's 40 Marines and 3 siege tanks. We're not seeing any upgrades either for Spanishiwa. Not a huge fan of this play. I'm really, really not. DDE is just biding his time and waiting, looking for possible drop opportunities, which could be a little bit difficult Ventral Sax upgrade is on its way, so we are looking for some drops eventually here from Spanishiwa, who looks to go in and do some damage. Can he do it, more to the point? Charging right here, up the ramp, a quick pickup, very, very elegant there by DDE, who is not in any way concerned. Hey, there's a free Baneling, and actually 2 more thrown away right there. He takes the damn statue out, because, hey, he's just that angry. But whatever the case, Spanishiwa is not really on the good end of this engagement at all. DDE rolling out now that he finally knows exactly what his opponent's got. Plenty of tanks deployed. DDE's in a great position, and honestly, he could have probably ended this, what, 5 minutes ago, I would think. I mean, it's an army supply count of 74 to 44. Spanishiwa still trying to rebuild on one base. He's not mined out just yet, since he hasn't really been mining all that heavily here, but he's getting to the point where that's going to be a problem. Hatchery coming down right here for him as well, so he'll look to expand beyond that. But I'm interested to see what Spanishiwa can do with these Ventral Sacs, and it might be an all-or-nothing attack with a mass drop perhaps into the main base of DDE. We'll find out very shortly. Keeping an eye on things, making sure that nothing's going too wrong. Spanishiwa with 86 Zerglings right now. It's a very, very nice force, but without any major upgrades for them aside from Speedling, it's not going to be amazingly effective against that many tanks. So we'll find out how that goes. Curiously, no Marine Shield upgrade right here for DDE. Actually, as he says that, there we go. My ability to see 1.5 seconds into the future, once again, becomes a liability. Or indeed not see 1.5 seconds into the future. Spanishiwa still sitting on a large number of Zerglings, and that's a lot of Banelings in the back as well. Really looking for some kind of major drop play with all of his Overlords ready there. It is a possibility. I mean, if he can do major damage to the production facilities and the mineral line of DDE, he'll be in a great position. I mean, DDE has barely expanded. He knew that he was one base ahead of his opponent anyway, so he wasn't too concerned about moving out there. That's a lot of Banelings right there. We're looking perhaps for the Baneling drops, the Rainlings, that's what they call. That's what I like to call them anyway. And we've got these 2 Overlords. The question is, will he actually go for the base? Surely he will. DDE with a small drop down in the corner right here, looking to poke and prod at his opponent. Here come the Banelings. That's a good-looking interception right here from DDE. He knows exactly what's coming. He sees that there's something in there, and he is not too concerned at all. He has a small force of Marines able to clean that up quite nicely. They've already got +1 upgrade, so they'll chew through the Overlords quite nicely. Armory on the way up for DDE, which, as far as I can tell, is pretty much irrelevant. There's a quick drop right here by DDE into the mineral line of Spanishiwa, but that's very, very easily cleaned up. He does get a read on just how many units he's up against. There's an awful lot of Zerglings. That's 87 and then 28 right there. Quick pick up. DDE's drop micro is absolutely fantastic, as you can clearly see, but he will lose that one just because there's just so many units. He can't get away. Here come the Banelings, and the question is, will he be able to do any real damage with them? Looks for the drop into the mineral line, and DDE doesn't actually have a huge number of units right there, so he's able to do some damage, but it's not great. This is what I'd be more concerned about. Oh, wow, nice pickup there by DDE, who denies the drop entirely, and Spanishiwa still in an awful position. 107 army supply for DDE, 59 for Spanishiwa. Worker supply is actually in favor of Spanishiwa, but that's really only because DDE just hasn't really bothered with it, and I wouldn't worry too much about that at all. 30 drones to 25 after being on one base for so long for Spanishiwa. Yeah, I'm not liking the look of this one little bit. However, it could all come down to this engagement. DDE is quite nicely spread out in order to deal with these Baneling drops. And here's the charge right here into the mineral line. That's not a mineral line. That's not a mineral line. It's a tank line. My God, there's so many Banelings coming down right now. However, DDE is holding back deliberately. GG! No damage, I'm afraid. Absolutely not. He kills a couple of siege tanks, and that's it. Spanishiwa wiped out entirely there by DDE, who, to be honest, didn't at any point look under any real threat. So there you go. Spanishiwa not able to deal with it, and he now drops down to the losers bracket, where he will be facing off against either Stake from Team Complexity or Select from Team Dignitas tomorrow. Okay, folks, we're going to have a brief break, and then I'll tell you a little bit about a giveaway that we've got going on, and then we'll go into ARG versus Cruncher. Don't go anywhere.